Hey folks, Chris Jardine, aka Snaggle J here, General Manager of the TGS Cincinnati Reds, back with another episode of the Big Red Machine podcast. And as I promised in a previous episode, we're going to take a spin around our minor league system and check in on some of our better prospects, our middling prospects, guys that are having great seasons. It is September 10th in the game, so most of the minor league seasons have wrapped up at this point. As you can see from our minor league system on the right-hand side of the screen, our AAA team was right around 500, 66, 68. We do have one playoff team. Well, actually, maybe two. I know rookies kind of messed up, but 66 and 68 for the AAA team, 80 and 54 for the Lookouts. Nice season for the AA squad. 31 and 103, and we're going to explain the strategy behind some of this in a bit. 73 and 61 for the Tortugas. 71 and 52 for the Wasps. So what we did is, one of the big things I learned in my first year in the league was the importance of happiness, cohesion in the minors, and a lot of that has to do with results. So what we've done, you will see a lot of my better prospects, guys that I really want to develop, guys that I'm invested in, are either on the AA squad with the Lookouts or the low A squad with the Tortugas. So we kind of put our eggs in one basket to sort of improve the happiness of those teams. If we look at the chemistry parts here, you will see as we go to AAA, they're pretty unhappy. AA, very happy, almost all the way up. Everybody, and you can see, we've got a captain, we've got 4 leaders, couple of spark plugs. We have one outspoken guy, but Clay Walden's been kind of good down there. So after we picked him up in a trade earlier in the season, you look at our high A feuding, they hate each other, they're going to kill each other. And the thing is that, this is kind of an interim strategy as we start weeding out the lesser prospects. If you think of what our minor league system looked like a year ago and what it looks like now, we've won about almost 100 more games in the minors this year than last year. Again, you look at low A, they're pretty happy. The rookie teams aren't too bad. They're content. Again, and our low rookie is very happy. So we've kind of put, again, kind of all of our eggs into those baskets and really tried to make our guys at those levels very happy. So let's take a look through. We're going to go to the AAA squad first. Again, the AAA squad not having a horrible season. They're 66 and 60. A lot of these guys would be, next man up if there was an injury. Quint Pua was a guy that we picked up in a trade. He is 23. He's a switch hitting third baseman. He's going to need a little bit of development love in order to, become maybe an effective big leaguer. He has hit 267 with 9 homers since we brought him in. Dylan Lugo's another guy. Again, he's kind of roughed up at the moment. He's spent some time on the injury list this year. You can see he's had an equal amount of ABs at both Iowa and Louisville since we picked him up from the Cubs. He only has a home run. He is supposed to be a, gap power, home run power guy. We'll see how he settles in. Not really a guy we're looking at as a long-term solution, but again, we've been saying it over and over and over and over again. You stockpile these guys that, he's maybe he TCRs and he gets 10, 15 points of contact, or maybe he bulks up over the winter and all of a sudden he's got 70 power and he's a guy you're looking at as your long-term DH. So, you got to have these guys around. A lot of the other guys we have in AAA, again, would just be injury fill-ins, guys that we could bring up in a hurry. None of these guys really, to be honest, have much of a bright expected future as a Cincinnati Red. Again, we've got guys, again, that if there's injuries, if we need guys to fill in, they're there. We go to the AA squad. This is where you're going to see our best team in the minors, 80 and 54. You can see, obviously the Trash Pandas having just an absolutely gargantuan season there. But, we're right there with the Birminghams, the Tennessees, the Biloxis of the world, in that division. As we're going to be, I think this season should be done there now. No, we've got one sim left of the regular season, so it looks like we're gonna squeak into the playoffs there. We've already clinched a spot actually, so we'll see what that Double A team can do with some extra games in the playoffs. We'll probably be watching that pretty closely. But yeah, we've got a lot of guys here that are very key to the future of this team on both sides of the ball. Again, we talked about Clay Walden. He's 24. He's a guy we picked up in a trade. Um, again, one of those guys that if he gets some TCR love, he could be great. Obviously, we have Jaden Krause down here. Krause, who was our first round draft pick last year, he has spent some time on the IL. The injuries, he's been hurt 3 times since he got drafted, and 4 times overall, and they're not short. We got 4 months, 5 weeks, 7, 8 weeks. So, and we've got the strained ACL in both knees. So he still has normal injury proneness, so that's great. But you could see he's having a pretty solid season. He's hitting 261. He has 11 home runs, 47 RBIs. He's filling out nicely. He's almost reached a full dev, just a little bit of eye and a void case. Something we've been doing is we've been actually training him at second base. He does have 65 range, 50, 50, 55 in the infield. So we've been just giving him that extra flex, training him up at second base, getting him, another potential avenue where we might be able to use him. Down at this level, we have Lanzalata, we have Walden, we have Harrow, and when we start looking at the big league club where we have Agilov and Lanu and Harlan Lujan, having a little bit of second base flexibility not going to hurt. So that's kind of what we've been doing with Krause. Lanzalata, again, another guy we picked up in a trade from the Cubs, having a pretty solid season with the bat since we got him. 7 homers. He's hitting 300. He's slugging 519. Again, a kind of a power guy. Probably, maybe more suited for first base or DH, unless we get 45. I would rather not use 45 range in the outfield if I can avoid it. But again, if he fills out just a little bit more, if we can get this to like 70, just imagine. Again, you're constantly looking at these guys and hoping and wishing and praying that something happens. Godoy, 17 home runs. Again, another power guy we picked up, a bat first sort of player, slugging 511, which is nice. 17 homers, 15 doubles, couple triples in there as well. Abdul Normal is having a great season. Again, he's right on the fringe of being a solid third base option. Obviously, we'd love this eye to fill in. We'd love some more, maybe some TCR love with the contact. Having a great season with the bat, though. He's slashed from 306, 342, 511. He's got 11 doubles, 14 bombs. Having a very nice season. A couple of wins above replacement, which you love to see. He has really taken his bat game to a new level. He kind of struggled at AAA last year. Again, with the new strategy and what we learned in year 1, we moved him to AA, where we set him up for a little bit more success. Jeremy Twitty's just kind of down here now. We had Siedzinski down here, but Siedzinski's on the big club now. Eric Harrow, a guy we picked up from the A's. This is a guy I'd love to see some TCR here because we got some great defense, could be a great corner guy, but again, the bat is just not good enough now, but 22, lots of time for something good to happen there. Our pitching here, this is something, if you guys watch any of the previous videos or listen to any of the previous audio pods, pitching has just been a black hole in the minors for us. We have developed a 3-headed monster here in AA with DeRuin, McDunn, and Guzman. Guzman, a guy that we got from the Cubs in the Rentmeister deal. And again, the Rentmeister deal with, Agilov has already paid off in spades. Again, he's had some injury trouble each of the last 2 seasons to end the year, but he's been great in the leadoff spot. Guzman having an absolutely just great, what you love to see season in AA. 2.41 ERA. He's given up less than a hit per inning. Not a whole lot of Ks. Again, he's not gonna be a K guy, but we have some room for that fastball to move. He's still only 22. We have some room here for this fastball to grow. Maybe we get it up to 96, 98, 97, 99. Maybe he can get another 5, maybe even 10 points of stuff, which would be just phenomenal. The movement is really starting to spike. We have seen the movement jump a lot as of late. Again, just in 2029, he's gone from he was 40, 65, 55, 65, and now he's up to 60, so almost full potential there. You see he's gotten that 5 points of control potential that he lost back. But yeah, just having a excuse me, really good season. Keeping the walks down, 2.2 walks per nine. The BABIP's not egregiously low. So this is a sustainable BABIP at 303. Again, obviously, 4.8 wins above replacement is great. You got good traits. He's got a ways to go. Probably not a guy that we're targeting to start the next season in the big leagues. But again, this is a very good step in the right direction for him. Josh McDunn, a guy that we picked up in a trade from the Angels. Actually, McDunn and DeRuin, we got in the same trade. Having a great season as well. 2.68 ERA. Again, less than a hit per nine. Again, the Ks, not a lot of Ks, but not a lot of walks either. 1.8 walks per nine. Again, his BABIP is, again, I don't think 291, anything under 300, I feel like, unless they have, the really good stuff to go with it, I don't feel like it's not egregiously low, but I think this would probably adjust itself up more to like 305, 310. Lots of quality starts, 3.3 wins above replacement. Again, just a really good season as he has emerged as a good option. You see the stuff climbing up a little bit. He's been good. He did have a injury spell. Again, he's got some velo room to grow, but as a latter half of his 23s, it's going to be difficult for him, I think, to hook onto that. Maybe the best of the bunch has been Owen DeRuin, who has a 2.60 ERA. He's only giving up. Man, that hits per nine is low. Do I have that here somewhere his hits per nine is 7 hits per nine. I don't know why I don't have that on my main thing, but he's only given up 137 hits in 176 innings. 56 walks, which is not egregious. He's under 3 walks per nine. 183 Ks, so 9.3 Ks per nine. 5.7 wins above replacement. The BABIP, again, 282 is a little bit lower, than you would expect. To be sustainable long term. But again, DeRuin's a guy that he's going to see the big leagues next year. We're going to give him a real good look in spring training and see how it goes. He has improved. He did lose a little bit of stuff earlier in the year, which I'm hoping maybe we can, unlock the key and get that back. He recently revved up his contact, or his control. But again, we lost that 45. I'd like to have that 45 back if we could find it. But yeah, he's had a really good year. My fear is, he doesn't play into our park very well, but this is a season in AA that's just too good to ignore. He's going to get a really long look next year. We do have some other options in here. Newland Boyle is a guy that was recently drafted in the second round. We're giving him a bit of run here as he's kind of a swingman bullpen piece. You can see his movement and control already fully developed at 70 and 60. He's got some jumps he could make in the velo, which could help the stuff. But we're getting him in this good environment. Again, he still has 1.6 wins above replacement across 75 innings, which is nice that you love to see there. Johnny Boss is a guy, kind of a disappointing season for Boss. I was hoping he was going to be able to do a bit more, but we'll see. 23, he's back into the rotation here. Another guy that's kind of floating around down here is Daniel Contreras, who, again, starting to fill out nicely at 20 years old. He's already up to 40, 60, 40. He's got a bit more at each. He does have a bit of velo to go here. Contreras, who was our third rounder last year, he's a guy I'm keeping my eye on. I really feel like he could figure it out and become, a mid to back of the rotation guy for us. Braylon Potter's kind of he's a two-way guy. He's not really doing much on either side. We're using him in the bullpen as a long man just to, again, he doesn't have a whole lot in the pitching stats, but he's striking out a lot of guys. 11.5 Ks per nine. He's hitting the ball not too bad either. 288. He's got a 424 slugging percentage. Again, we're just kind of using him because his batting is pretty much fully developed. He's got a couple points here and there, but It has been a nice pinch hitter piece. We had some injuries in Double A earlier as well, and he was actually getting regular ABs at first base. When I think I can't remember if it was Bounds or somebody else who was down. But overall, our Double A team really, really looking good. Again, I'm going to be excited to follow them through the playoffs and see what we're going to be able to do there. We got a lot of hot guys on that team too. We go to our high A team, and there's not a whole lot that we're really locked in on here. And again, this team just middling in the absolute dog crap of a 31-103 season, but that's strategic. But yeah, not a whole lot that we're looking at here in terms of guys that we really think have a long-term impact. We do have some nice seasons, DeLion here having a good season, but again, not a guy that at third base we're really looking at very deep. There's basically none of these pitchers that we're looking for long term. Obviously, some of these guys have some potential, and we might try to get them on to, as we continue to build up the minors. Obviously, we would like to have, less and less of these teams. We don't want our A team to go 31-103. But again, we're really strategizing how we're using our top prospects. So again, a lot of these guys are just guys that I don't have a long-term interest in, or just, if any of them all of a sudden get a big dev boost or a TCR, they're going to low A or double A. I mean, that's just been what we've been doing. So we go to that low A team now. We've got some great guys to look at here. Our top prospect, at least ratings-wise, is Afonso Santero. He's having an okay season. He has, his power has jumped a couple of times this year. His eye has jumped a little bit this year. His defense is holding. His contact is holding. Overall, he's been contributing in a lot of different areas. So he's slasher 250, 310, 419, which is not great. He has 18 doubles, 15 homers. The strikeout rate is above 20, which again, you don't like to see. 26 steals. The big problem is with Santero, the clock is running out for him to figure it out. If you look at this ratings profile and I told you he was 19, you would be tremendously excited. But when you look over there and you see that he just turned 23, your excitement wanes big time. He has the potential to be one of the best third basemen in the league. A power hitting profile with some speed and some solid defense at the hot corner. But again, at what point do you look at he's 23 and you're just not seeing those development leaps? The stats in low A are like, oh God, like it's just not coming together. Early in the season, we did start him in rookie. He got off to a hot start. We moved him up. Again, there's a lot of good still happening here. Obviously, the K rate is a negative. The walk rate is a negative. The lack of development is a negative. But, he has 15 home runs. He has 26 steals. We're going to take that for what it's worth and just really hope. I think for Santero, early on in 2030 is going to be absolutely crucial for his long-term viability. He's got to come in next year on fire right from the rip, maybe get a couple of, and again, the two negative traits, they hurt. The work ethic hurts for sure, but he's got to figure it out, and I think 2030 is going to be a make or break season for him, big time. Pavino Romero's not a guy that we're watching, but I love what he's doing down there. Eugene McGibbon, I know I skipped Mendoza, but Eugene McGibbon has been absolutely on fire lately. A lot of trade interest in McGibbon earlier in the season, which I didn't really understand because he doesn't have a super sexy profile. He has some bad traits that people are just like, but again, people love. He's got versatility. Can play a few different spots. We could probably get him trained up at maybe not second base because he doesn't have the turn double play. So first base is probably the only infield option. But again, 70 speed, good defensive ratings in the corners. If we get some TCR here, I mean, the season he's had, he's slashing 328, 377, 540 um, with 11 homers and 39 RBIs. And he, had a pretty good season in high A as well. Again, we moved him down to get him lined up with the guys we want. He's just coming off a 20-game hitting streak, I think. 20-game hitting streak. So he's been playing really, really well. Another guy, we mentioned Mendoza. Mendoza, another one of those guys that came over from the Cubs in the Rentmeister trade. So Agilov, Guzman, and now Mendoza's another guy who's starting to turn the corner. 21. He's got a great profile. Starting to turn the corner a little bit this year. He had a very nice time in high rookie where he slashed 311, 331, 521 with 5 bombs. Since moving up to low A, he's slashing 292, 330, 431 with 6 bombs. So again, the power's not coming. He's got 20 doubles, which is nice. Again, he's going in the right direction. Obviously, we have a big gap in the K to walk rate. Like, that's a 19-point gap. So we'd obviously like him to close that a little bit. But again, starting to see some signs here. The thing with Mendoza is going to be his ability to play defense. This is not a great corner outfield profile when you look at some of the other depth pieces we have. Is he going to be a DH? I don't think he's going to have the profile or the pop to be a DH long term, but we'll see. But again, Mendoza continues to be an exciting guy that we're keeping an eye on. Scott Rothman, who was a guy that we drafted last year in the second round, he's had an up and down season. The bat has been, sometimes he's white hot. I mean, he has 13 home runs in high A. He had 5 home runs in low A, which is where he's at now. But he's only hitting 191. Really just on the struggle bus. He's got a nice profile. He's only 20. He's starting to develop a little bit. He's just not playing well. He's really struggling with the bat. So we'll see. Again, hopefully that's not going to be his life because, again, nice defensive profile at third base. Got a little bit of speed in there. Got a guy who could have some pop. I'm really excited about the options we have at third base with guys like Rothman and Santiro. I can't say I've been super impressed. I mean, Cubas has been a nice third baseman for us at the big league level. I don't feel like Carson Caston's going to work out long term. So it's nice to have some third base options in there. Grishaber, who, again, another guy we picked up from the Cubs in the Rentmeister trade, right? He's a Rentmeister trade too, yep. Again, Grishaber is more of a defense-first guy with the 70 catcher ability. He does have an interesting bat, but it's not coming out right now. He does have 13 homers. He had 22 homers last season. So, again, he's been showing some pop. Obviously, the slugging has taken a trip backwards as he went up a level. But, again, 21, he's got some room to grow. I just want the basic fielding stats here. Let's see. He's throwing out 33% of his runners. His catcher's ERA is 4.34, which is not terrible. Obviously, not much going on in the framing department. So, again, we'll have to see. Grishaber, an exciting catching prospect. We'll have to see if he can figure it out a little bit. Again, another guy who 2030 is going to be a pretty key season for him because we've put a lot of our eggs in the Grishaber basket as being a potential contributor. Noel Carlson, who was our first round, 7th overall pick, he hasn't gotten off to a great start. 246, 289, 394 on the slash. He's probably a little over his depth in the low A, but again, we want him in that good environment. At least he's in an environment where his morale is all positive, right? He's good, great, normal, good. So he's happy. He's not, down there playing bad for a team where he doesn't want to be there. Again, we've moved him to second. He was originally drafted as a shortstop. We've moved him to second, mostly because, again, I just 70 range is not saying he doesn't have the ability to be a shortstop long term, but I think we're looking at him more as a second baseman and hoping that we can find, one of them defensive stalwarts to play short long term. So again, obviously with Carlson, he's still young, 19. We'll wait and see what 2030 brings for him. Val Menendez, a guy that we got in a trade from the A's. Very nice defensive profile. Again, you'd love to see just like a little bit more range, but good error, good arm, great arm, good turn double play. He hasn't been too bad. He's hitting 286, 372, 386 on the slash line. He's got a couple of home runs. His K to walk rate is not bad. I mean, he is striking out 22.6% of the time, but he's in double digits for the walk rate, which is nice. He's got 13 steals, 13 doubles, which, again, for a guy that has no bat profile is wonderful. Again, just give me some range. Give me some range. That's what I need. I need some range. He does have some outfield capability as well. So it might be a guy that we start to look at just for defensive purposes, maybe training him up a little bit in one of the corner outfield spots just to give him a bit more flexibility. Again, especially as we fill out the minors. Rene Brito, who was a guy that we got in the Frank Diggs trade. I will admit, he's got a long way to go. He's 22. He's going to need some major love, but he's having a pretty solid season down there. 3.05 ERA. His K rate is down, which is not great. His BABIP has improved by almost 100 points, which is scary because that 267 probably not sustainable. I just like the fact that he's 6'8", right? 6'8", 200 pounds. We'll see. Maybe he gets some love. Maybe he gets a big jump in the velo. He's got a great profile for it, so we'll see if that happens. Sam Conboy is my favorite cult player at the moment. I mean, look at this profile. Now, first of all, look at where he came from. So this is a guy that we got in a trade with the Mets, with Daniel Estrada for Leonardo Cobb. And Cobb has been pretty good for the Mets in the big leagues, hitting 333. Cobb was a guy that he soured on me very quickly. We tried to make a move. Conboy, obviously, he needs some movement. You look at what he's done since he's come over. He has gained 15 points of stuff, and he has not moved to the bullpen. He has stayed as a starter. His control's been good. Obviously, again, he's got no movement, but look at what he has done since we got him. We started him in rookie ball, where he went 8-4 with a 2.92 ERA and 156 strikeouts in 111 innings, 12.6 Ks per nine. Since we moved him up to low A, so he jumped high rookie and went to low A, 21 and a third innings in his first 3 starts, 33 strikeouts. I looked at the game log on this guy lately. Look at these starts. 14 Ks, 6 Ks, 13, 15, 13, 16, 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 double-digit K starts since we picked him up. So, again, obviously, he's going to... 25 movement's not going to play. But, man, it's just intriguing to watch him go. Like, could he be an elite left-handed reliever at some point? Possibly. He still has some room to go in the velo department. I'm just enjoying him. He's that guy. He's a quirky profile. Everybody's got those quirky profile guys that you're like, he's probably never going to contribute at the big league level, but like you love watching him just destroy the minors. Johnny Alfre's been having a good season. He was a later round pick, 18th rounder. Again, 2.99 ERA so far in low. Again, he's going to need some TCR love, but he's having some good results. Flora Sherman, who set the single season Puerto Rican Winter Baseball League wins record this last year with 14, continues to battle along here. He's been at a couple different levels. He's kind of settled in here in low A, 3.26 ERA. Again, the BABIP, nothing to be like super scared of. The walk rate is super low. He's a movement control guy. Wait and see. I think Sherman's got some potential. He's going to need some help. But that's pretty much it for A. Patton Fontanez is a guy. He's a high movement guy. We're keeping an eye on him. He's got some great personality traits as well. And as we go to our 2 rookie teams, again, some interesting pieces here. Leon McConnell. Just because we don't have a whole swath of catching options. This is a guy we picked up from the A's. We'll see how he makes out. He's hitting pretty good. Bat's working pretty good. 13 homers. We've had some, improvement here. Again, he's going to be more your bat first catcher. Do him and Grishaber maybe make a great 1-2 combo at some point? McConnell's just about to turn 21. We'll see there. We've got some guys down here that are interesting. Tavis Lowe is a guy that we recently drafted. He's hitting .313. It's interesting potential bat profile. Again, he's 22, so he's got some speed, which is nice. Eddie Lehman, who I'll showcase him just because he's that last piece from the Rentmeister trade. Got that 75 range and that 80 speed. And the bat starting to improve a little bit, which you love to see. He's up to 2.2 wins by replacement on the year. Fastnack's another guy, too, that we're watching. Again, 75 range. So, again, possibly that super stud defensive shortstop. Again, that's one of the reasons why we're using Dainzer, who is basically an empty bat, but his defense is just off the charts ratings-wise. We don't have a whole lot down here for pitching, so nothing to get really, really excited about. Again, all of these guys, they might be having good seasons, but they're not really, from a prospect standpoint, guys that we're keeping a close eye on. And then Newport News, again, kind of the same. We got to do some work down here before the next sim. We do have some guys down here that are some interesting names. Yamasaki was our third rounder this past year. He's got 14 homers in 70 games. So the slugging is up there. He's hitting the ball pretty nice. He had 3 home runs in his second game. Nolan Ho is a guy that we got in a trade from the Mets, right? In the Carter Alt trade. He's got 11 homers in 68 games. So again, you do see some potential here. He's only 19, so he'll be a guy we're keeping our eye on as we advance through the years here. Rance McIntyre is another defense first guy. The bat has been kind of nice, but again, he's in low rookie, so don't read too much into that. And Daniel Estrada was another guy we got from the Mets, a potential contact piece. Again, he's only 17, so that makes him very intriguing to see, can we get this kind of contact profile? Can we get a little bit of extra defense at the keystone? And again, not much rolling around down here for pitching that I would get super excited about. So that is our look through the minors. Again, overall, I think my biggest, thing to look at is the state of our minors now versus a year ago is just so much better. We've put a lot of effort into effectively drafting people, looking at positions where we need people. Obviously, we've gone from an organization with 0 pitching prospects to having some. Obviously, the thing with our pitching prospects, none of them are like surefire ace material, but we're overall improving the possibility. Again, it's quantity and quality. I think at first we were, really just we had to bring in the quantity. Now you can start to see that quality develop. So we'll see as we hit the 2029 off season, with all of the makings with the expansion draft, the potential conversion to 24, a lot of things that could, impact this team. And then we get into 2030 and see, hey, who of these guys can emerge? Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, keep swinging for the fences.